the TEA. Today, protests erupted in Houston as the agency moves to take over Houston ISD. Students from all over the city staged different protests, many chanting, TEA, go away.
It is a battle between the state's largest school district and the Texas Education Agency that's been going on for years.
It may all come to a head soon. Mayor Sylvester Turner saying he has learned that the takeover is imminent.
HISD has 273 schools, nearly 190,000 students. How do you come in and take over the largest school district in the state of Texas?
The mayor said the state education commissioner would not confirm or deny that a takeover was near, only that he would give the mayor 24 hours notice.
Depending who you ask, a TEA takeover of HISD could be the best or worst outcome for the district.
Like, oh yeah, the state of education right now in Houston, it's bad. Or you talk to an optimistic person, oh, state of education in Houston is quite well. Well, the truth of the matter is, the state of education everywhere, not just Houston, not just Texas, everywhere, especially in the United States, is a changing one. And the thing about education is, in a lot of ways, it has changed for the better, but in too many different ways, it's changed for the worse.
The demands for answers about the state's takeover of Houston schools started just 13 minutes into the night.
This meeting was rodeo grade BS.
Parents and educators showed up wanting to know specifics of the state's plan, were forced to submit questions online or fill out a note card read by a state employee.
Houston Independent School District, the largest school district in the state, serving over 180,000 students. But behind the classroom doors, a storm is brewing. For years, the Texas Education Agency has scrutinized the leadership and performance of the Houston Independent School District, triggering a takeover by the state, which many Houston natives oppose.
A lot of these administrators, they get most of their knowledge from what's printed online or what's turned into them by other APs or the principals. They read it and they make a decision from there. You know, how can you make a decision on something when you haven't actually been in it? You know, how can you determine what's needed for a high school or a middle school when you've never walked the halls of that high school, walked the halls of that middle school?
Some say intervention is necessary to fix failing schools and ensure accountability. Others argue it's an overreach. As tensions rise, parents, teachers, and students brace for what could be a seismic shift in the future of public education in Houston.
It starts with administration. It always starts at the top, you know. They always say that if you cut off their head, the body will die. And it's the same way with having a good head. You know, if you have a good head, the body will thrive. Well, administration has a tendency to care more about looking like they're doing their job right, as opposed to actually doing their job right.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Jose Grignon. We are breaking into programming at this hour to tell you that the Texas Education Agency will be taking over the Houston Independent School District. That decision was just handed down from the state. It will have a major impact on more than 200,000 students.
In 2019, the Texas Education Agency made a bold and controversial move, announcing its takeover of the Houston Independent School District, the largest school district in Texas. The decision sent shockwaves through the community, sparking outrage, protests, and legal battles. Parents, teachers, and students alike questioned the state's motives and feared the unknown future of their schools. In the wake of the Texas Education Agency's takeover of Houston ISD, many questions still remain. How is the takeover actually going? Have the sweeping reforms made a real impact, or are teachers and students struggling under new policies? Has the state seen a rise in student attendance and performance? Or are the challenges of public education still as persistent as ever? As we examine the effects of this unprecedented intervention, we'll hear directly from educators, parents, and students, those at the heart of the changes. Have these reforms delivered the results they promised, or has the takeover introduced new challenges of its own? This is the story of Houston's schools, its teachers, and the students they serve 1 year into the TEA takeover.
I think the problem with a lot of school districts, particularly the larger ones, is they stretch themselves very, very thin.
Since the Texas Education Agency took over, many teachers say the weight on their shoulders has only grown heavier. Teachers report working longer hours, managing larger class sizes, and navigating a flood of new policies, many of which shift their focus from teaching to compliance. For many, the joy of teaching is being overshadowed by mounting pressure. Standardized test scores now drive the curriculum, while educators struggle with fewer resources and higher expectations.
A smaller school district is going to be able to give more students and more teachers what they need as far as support, because there are not very many avenues they need to get through. HISD has well over 70,000 students in it and over 7,000 teachers. If you talk to the superintendent, they wouldn't be able to name more than 10 teachers, like in their entire district. And it's not necessarily because they're bad superintendents, they're bad administrators. Not necessarily saying it's because they're not either, but it's just more or less when you have so many different avenues to go down, you're bound to make a wrong turn. You know, one of the biggest challenges with HISD is you need to be able to give every single one of your schools, whether it's elementary, middle school, your secondary education, you need to be able to give all your schools the same type of support and, if needed, the same type of funding.
For Houston, with the current state, I would definitely say it's in a very turbulent moment where things are changing at a very fast pace. Curriculum is changing, educational funding is changing, and politics are changing.
Forced many restaurants, stores, and businesses to close, but now it appears that schools could be the next victim.
HISD's enrollment has dropped dramatically since the pandemic.
Recently, there's been a little shift with my experience with HISD, wherein the engaging piece is no longer there, and I'm watching my students get bored or not fascinated with the material and the content because it's not what they're familiar with, it's not what they're used to. And sometimes they're just working for me because I'm being a person to them, I'm exposing myself to them. And so as a student, HISD was a safe haven. As a teacher, I wanted to be that safe haven, and now I feel like I'm in this really gray space of trying to figure out what do I do now when, as an institution, HISD is changing and these glass ceilings are pushing me further and further to the ground.
Houston's teachers are reaching a breaking point. Once the backbone of the city's education system, they now find themselves overworked, under-supported, and caught in the chaos of sweeping changes imposed by the Texas Education Agency takeover of HISD.
There's been this shift wherein we are hiring uncertified teachers by the load, and there's nothing against an uncertified teacher. However, not knowing your content fully or taking that test or not being able to know how to deal with classroom culture or not necessarily knowing how to deal with English as a second language for students is really, really pivotal in a child's education experience.
You know, the way I teach inside my class is I don't always teach from a textbook. In fact, I rarely teach from a book. My kids are up, moving around. I have a prompt on the board and I'm like, yo, make something out of this. And I say all that to say, a lot of these administrators, they get most of their knowledge from what's printed online or what's turned into them by other APs or the principals. They read it and they make a decision from there.
We have developed as a district what's called NES school systems, or a new education system. It's an education system where they're cutting out libraries and turning them into learning labs where students just sit there on packets and computers and they're not reading books. It's a system wherein we're not necessarily teaching a curriculum to our students. We are forced to abide by Eureka for math or Amplify for reading, so certain specific programs that don't allow teachers to have flexibility, and it doesn't allow teachers to really step into developing the individual needs that students might have.
And we begin with back to school. Students are preparing to head back to the classrooms, and there's a teacher shortage and safety concerns looming over the HISD school district.
Today, the superintendent holding a press conference hoping to put minds at ease. Fox 26's Gabby Hart joins us live from HISD headquarters with an overview of this. Gabby?
Well, there is a nationwide teacher shortage. At one point during the summer, HISD had more than 800 vacancies.
The teacher shortage is not just a number. It's a reality that impacts thousands of students every day. Vacant positions, overwhelmed educators, and a revolving door of substitutes are becoming the new normal. But what led to this crisis? Experts point to a combination of factors: low pay, increased workload, and policy changes that have reshaped the teaching profession. The recent Texas Education Agency's takeover of HISD has only added to the uncertainty, leaving many educators questioning their future in the district. The impact of the shortage extends beyond teachers. It affects students the most. Larger class sizes, fewer experienced educators, and the loss of personal connections hinder their learning experience. Parents, too, are left wondering if their children are receiving the quality education they deserve.
Leadership is the major change. We've been getting principals out. They've been letting go of people in higher position that were actually doing their job really well. I think the biggest issue is we're trying to reinvent a wheel of some things that were already being pretty productive and working.
You know, you have teachers, students, parents, administrators, and the real problem with that is there's a strong disconnect. Because see, the students, the parents, the teachers, the administrators, we should all be on the exact same side, meaning we should all want the exact same thing.
HISD has this SDMC committee that every institution or school has to have, where we get community members, we get parents and things to be involved and come together to make decisions. But depending on the institution how they particularly want to get the parents involved is how it'll play out. Now, recently with our just new changes with our superintendent and things like that, again, it's not really more so that our principal or the leader of our school has that autonomy to make those decisions. If it's a decision about curriculum, a parent cannot say anything about it because it's curriculum that we've been told that we're going to teach. If it's curriculum about necessarily the lunch menu, a parent can't say too much about it because Aramark is going to give us what Aramark is going to give us. But PTO can come in and make some decisions about how they want certain things to look, what uniform colors our students are doing, what 8 hours of the day do we want our school day to be in. But the power that I do appreciate that parents are kind of rallying together to come with is a power that I've never seen them use before because I don't think they ever had to, is the power of mobilizing themselves as being opposed to certain things that the district has. Going to these offices and complaining. On the local level, our parents really only impact uniform colors, school day hours, what dances or what fundraisers we do, more so things to participate as it relates to how can you actively just mesh into the school day. But they're not really in control of much like curriculum, what our kids are eating, class size or anything like that. They're not making the decisions that really do impact a student's learning experience.
The students should come to school wanting to learn, wanting to be better. The parents should be sending their kids to school wanting them to be safe and wanting them to get a good education. The teachers should want their students to be safe, and the teachers should want to be able to teach in a way where they reach their students, and administrators should want to make sure the parents are happy, the students are learning and the students are safe, and the teachers are happy as well. But unfortunately, that doesn't seem to be the case in a lot of these places. So, my future of education would be, let's first all get on the same page.
But what is very powerful is that educators are coming together. There has been reformation, and we know what's best for students. And so as long as you are doing what's right for students, that is a stronghold. But resources, leadership, financing, and also catering to those groups of students who have these very diverse needs, that's something that HISD could be a little more intentional about.
Through every challenge, every policy shift, and every moment of uncertainty, the parents, students, and teachers of HISD continue to show resilience. They rise each day, committed to learning, teaching, and striving for a better future, despite the obstacles placed before them. In classrooms, students push forward, hungry for knowledge. Teachers stand firm, guiding them with passion and dedication. Parents fight for their children's education, refusing to let up. Change is happening and the road ahead is uncertain, but one thing remains clear. This community refuses to give up. They are the heart of HISD, and no matter what comes next, they will continue to do what they've always done. Give their very best. Next time on Regucation.
Dozens of Texas teachers might have cheated their way into classrooms, including many here in the Houston area.
Investigators revealed new details about a fraud scheme involving testing proctors, administrators, even coaches. Rochelle Turner has been following this story and joins us live from HISD headquarters. Rochelle, how many teachers do we know from our area are actually tied up in this scandal? Haley, good morning to you. At least 38, 15 from HISD, 5 from Alvin, 4 from Cy-Fair, and 4 from Fort Bend ISD. And it also includes several other educators across the state.